Sandra Bland, this new sisterhood of death, and yet another Illuminati sacrifice. Since President Barack Obama's Southern Strategy, or Strange Fruit, Grace Eulogy, for Reverend Clementa Pinckney of the Mother Emanuel AME, that abandoned all the black people to the former Confederate States of America, the blood has begun to flow in the South. Blood. At this time, Sandra Bland, the incident of Texas, has all the hallmarks of major psychological warfare operation, which is what Jade Helm is. General aim of the early OSS, CIA psychological warfare programs is to undermine the enemy's will and capacity to resist. They've done that. One of the primary components of psychological warfare is a covert plan of demoralization that includes causing and installing distrust of one's cause, one's ideas, one's causes. It also includes the creation of incidents like riots, like the one that almost happened in Philadelphia. They, put the cop in jail this time, but too late. False flags, disturbances. It is a strategy of tension that we've talked about. Panic, false alarms. Does this word offend you? These kind of things. Now, Reverend James F. Miller appeared on CNN with an extremely confused and disturbed brother, Don Lemon. Lemon asked Mr. Miller to critique the recently released police dash cam of Sandra Bland's arrest, who, come to find out yesterday, actually was not dead when they took the book-in picture. Fine. She was alive then, but we also know that she was making phone calls and saying that she was badly beaten. Anyway, that Negro said that he hadn't even seen it. Mr. Miller had been introduced as Bland's pastor and mentor at DuPage AME Church in Lisle, is that how you say it, Illinois? So DuPage belongs to the same African Methodist, Episcopalian, Satanic, John Wesley denomination of the Mother Emanuel AME false flag and strategy tension operation that took place in Charleston, South Carolina. Dr. Miller rides the Hellenizegram for the Illuminati, just as the late Reverend Clementa Pinckney, Alpha Phi, Alpha, who rode the ram to become the Illuminati sacrifice. Why did the handkerchief thing head appear on air to critique Bland's arrest when he hadn't seen the damn thing? I can say damn right. Damn isn't a bad word. Okay. This shameless Reverend Dr. James F. Miller is a member of the Divine Nine, the Boule Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. He kneels at the Delphic Shrine, the shrine of the god Apollo. In Revelation, the king of the bottomless pit, aforementioned, the abyss, named as abandoned in Hebrew, meaning the destroyer, Apollyon in Greek, meaning the destroyer. Apollyon is one of the spellings of the Greek god Apollo. Demon, Daemon, Lucifer, devil, Satan, these are all names of a destroyer. Sandy Bland was caught inside an enigma, wrapped inside a puzzle, packaged up nice and pretty for your horror fest. Texas Department of Public Safety Trooper Brian Encina, I think that's his name, pulled her over at a traffic stop. Says to her while standing next to the driver's side window, "You seem irritated." She responds, "I was getting out of your way. You were speeding up, tailing me, so I moved over, and you stopped me. So yeah, I'm a little irritated." This cop told her to put out her cigarette. She refused to do, saying, "I'm in my car. I don't have to put out my cigarette." At that point, she was asked to step out. It should be very clear to you that this is no random stop in any traffic violation. This trooper had targeted, singled her out. He had been closely tailing her in his patrol vehicle, then suddenly speeding up behind her car to force her over. He forced her from the car, deliberately, physically pushed her out of the police dash cam range to further harass, antagonize, infuriate her, then manufactured an assault battery charge against her that took place outside of the range of the camera. Clearly a setup, clearly a staged event. Bland had been predicted to react in a certain manner, uncertainty to a designed set of stimuli and stress tactics. Like all unwitting patsies, this trooper kept probing Bland until the right circumstances existed to take her down, force her into a state of custody, to create this international incident, to further divide and polarize. That's a 1 and a 0. That's a 10. The people of this planet. And, I have to admit, they show an odd and kind of scary mugshot of her. From her unnatural shoulder position. Certainly looks as if she'd been lying down, and that's why the question was asked, is she already dead? Bland knew she had been set up and couldn't figure it out, really. Her words, "They got me set at 5,000 bond. I'm just still at a loss of words for this whole process. How is switching lanes with no turn signal, or with a third turn signal into all of this? I don't even know." So let's take a look at this 28-year-old lady. She's been lauded and remembered as a Black Lives Matter outspoken activist. She has produced a number of commentaries on her Facebook page called Sandy Speaks, critical of America's race relations, police brutality, and Black Lives Matters since at least earlier this year, 2015. Sandra Bland, most likely unwittingly, worshipped and rode the Hellenized and satanic ram to her death. She, once again, active member of Delta Alpha chapter of the Sigma Gamma Rho sorority. In a radical departure from the norm, her sorority sisters and Black Greek lettered organizations became very vocal in protesting her arrest, her death, and the Black Lives Matter movement. Bland's open activism was radical and a huge departure from the norm of this organization, because those that ride the ram and the goat don't ride the white horse of any human rights causes, not endorsed, created, shrouded by global satanic cabal, the Illuminati. These blood oath covenant Masonic black people are very, very serious. They are performing a false satanic rite designed for them by the New World Order. They are temple Shriners, chartered by Grand Lodges of Prince Hall Masons. Even if all of them aren't 20 or 32 or 33 degree Master Masons, Shriner temples are Masonic Blue Lodges, period. These Negroes. See, I was going to use the word, can I say bitch? I could mean a dog. Bitches. Okay, I can say that. I don't think that's a bad word. We'll have to wait for the judge's ruling on that. Anyway, and his new foot soldiers, whether they know it, whether you know it, or I understand it, or not. International Shriners that they imitate are clandestine Masonic membership shrines under the jurisdiction of Albert Pike's Satanic Grand Lodge of Arkansas and the ancient and accepted Scottish Rite. They are primarily offsprings of the Luciferian Prince Hall Masons and the Order of the Eastern Star Sisterhood, subservient, of course, to the global satanic oasis and the underworld, and the demons of the abyss, probably Cthulhu. Anyway, and as such, they are not allowed to ride the white horse. July 16th, 2015. Sigma, Gamma, Rho Sorority put the clampdowns on sorority sisters and fraternity order brothers getting involved in the Justice for Sandra Bland and the Black Lives Matter movement. That does not happen. It officially issued a statement from Benita M. Herring, the 23rd Grand Basileus, basically is the word. Yeah, Basileus. Problem there, right? There's a demon. Demon, so 23rd Grand Demoness. That she said had been the will of Bland's family, calling for the end of hashtags and petitions and commenting on the death of Sandra Bland, and asked that no protests, no marches be held. Yet Bland's sister, Sharon Cooper, urged supporters in continuing to express their solidarity via social media. In the same way, Bland spoke out about other injustices. Do not cross your sisters. She said in the absolute contradiction to the statement of the Divine Nine, so Sigma, Gamma, Rho, Balisis, please keep tweeting, keep Facebooking, keep Instagramming. She said, keep utilizing the hashtag Justice for Sandy. Keep hashtagging her, say her name. The minute you forget her name, you have forgotten her character. Sigma Gamma Rho sorority had deliberately allowed Sandra Bland to ride the white horse, climb out on a limb as a Black Lives Matters activist, to loudly protest and hashtag the Black Lives Matters movement in a virtually daily basis up until the day she was laid to waste. So let's take a closer look at Benita M. Herring of Chicago. Basileus Herring, Black Catholic. Okay, I won't even go there. A member of St. Ailbe Catholic Church in Chicago. St. Ailbe of Emly was a 6th century Irish bishop and patron saint of wolves, who reputedly baptized St. David. St. Ailbe's legend is deeply interwoven with the fables of King Arthur, the Round Table, the Holy Grail, that was made up because Irish people were rioting at the time. So don't be looking for your grail or saying it's because there was a good king. It was not. They made it so you'd stop fighting. And it worked. So this is old. And they used our love of storytelling against us. Okay, moving on. It was from St. David. His real name is Din Duid. I think that's closest. Anyway, that Cadag's monks came to destroy King Arthur. St. Ailbe Church has a veiled history and secret satanic ritual, sexual abuse, and exploitation of who? Black children. St. Ailbe Church, another one of those pedophile paradises. Waypoint for Jesuit priests. I wonder if the Pope's going to visit. St. Ailbe, there was a father, Victor Stewart. I have his picture up if you go to turtleislandnews.info. He is alleged to have ran a pedophile ring, a club, if you will, out of the church during the 90s. And during the 90s, Father John Walter Callicott was also sexually abusing children at the same church. There is also a serial pedophile, Father Daniel McCormick, at St. Abbey for 10 years. Ailbe. Okay, so McCormick's sexual abuse of children extended all the way back to, guess where? Vatican, Rome. To Pope Benedict the, I'm trying to remember this, XV1. So that's 16th? 16th. Pope Benedict the 16th. And his predecessor, John Paul II. Popes linked to a global 9th satanic circle, by the way. Basileus is defined as a king or emperor. The most importantly, the ruler of the Eastern Roman Empire. This name. The secret satanic, the Illuminati, the pedophile rings in Chicago, just as powerful, just as vicious as the ones in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., which we have talked about before. So St. Ailbe's Catholic Church certainly appears to be a pedophile's paradise for this ritual sexual abuse of black children. What does it say about Basileus Herring? It shows the grave level of human depravity of the satanic elite that she is willing to tolerate as a ruler of the Eastern Roman Empire. She's in league with the Roman Catholic Church, the satanic hierarchy, the satanic ritual sexual abuse of black children. Basileus Herring, Sigma, Gamma Rho, would certainly tolerate and be in league to set up Sandy Bland as an Illuminati sacrifice. So I'm calling it out. They, MK Ultra, played with Sandy's mind. I have a picture of her. Sandy started off a classic CIA MK Ultra sex kitten pattern that we have spoken of before. Walter County, Texas, playing out as Sandy Bland's incident in corporate mass media by snowballing, I'm sorry, I'm using the term, the public with incriminating, inconsistent, conflicting, unverified facts about Miss Brand. It is consistent with the aims of the psychological warfare program designed to demoralize the public by instilling distrust of one's cause, one's ideas, and causes, like Black Lives Matter. And we got to look at that term. And I have a cop up there doing the I am in the Brotherhood hand symbol. Good old boy, Walter County, Republican, D.A. Elton, Raymond Matthews, fourth generation, go for the bad, with his own black agitator hound. Texas cowboy from former Confederate stronghold, Hempstead, Texas. D.A. Matthews planted CNN with information about Harris County's medical examiner that the report finding about 30 cutting scars, some of which were in a state of healing on Brand's left wrist, to implant the suggestion amongst the masses that she had been seriously attempting suicide before this. So they are telling the public that nobody in jail over 3 days noticed up to 30 cutting scars. Some in the state of healing on her left wrist. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, this dog won't hunt. The Dutchman, via South Africa, by the way, Walter County Assistant DA Warren Keith Diapram, with an international fist claw symbol when you see him. The Dutchman reported that Harris County Medical Examiner's autopsy and finding found substantial amount of marijuana, THC, and that D.A. Mathis claimed publicly to be amid some sort of mind-altering drug in her system at the time of her death, to suggest that she had the capacity to harm herself under the influence of drugs. Seattle police say that marijuana dissipates in about 90 minutes from the blood. So 3 to 4 hours later, they're not getting any good evidence. So people are asking, where did the substantial amounts of THC in Bland's body come up from after 3 days of police custody? Walter County law enforcement officials also released 2 politicians information that Bland had informed them that she had attempted suicide before to miscarriage, due to a miscarriage, so that she had some sort of postpartum depression. 2014. Sharon Cooper confirmed that her sister did have a miscarriage, May 2014. Bland had allegedly written on a jail intake form that she had tried to kill herself at that time using pills, though Cooper was not specifically aware of that suicide incident or any postpartum depression or any psychosis or any diagnosis or any treatment of the same. Postpartum psychosis is separate mental health disorder, which is sometimes erroneously referred to as postpartum depression. It is less common than PPD, and it involves the onset of psychotic symptoms that include disturbances in thought, hallucinations, delusions, and or disorganized behavior, speech. So notice, Okay, we're going to take a little break, guys. You're listening to Turtle Island News with Tracey Kennedy, and if you want to hang out with me, come over to turtleislandnews.info, and I will be continuing. So, this Dutch guy, this South African, who I had to listen to them saying how, what people shall mean to them. Yeah, go back to Holland. A-holes. Okay, moving on. Notice that when Cooper exposed the fact that Bland didn't sign the jail intake form, alleging postpartum depression, suicide attempt, George Stephanopoulos immediately cut her off, changed the subject. In the news that Walter County produced unverified documents saying that Sandra Bland had told officials when she was being booked into this Southeast Texas jail that she suffered from epilepsy. A suicide questionnaire that was among the booking documents released Wednesday by Walter County shows that Bland had told them that she was taking the anti-epileptic drug Capra. In another document, one that was to be filled out by by the inmate, that contains Bland's verified signature, no is circled by the question asking if she's on any medication. Capra is also consistent with the treatment of and suppression of social anxiety disorders. It includes anger, apathy, depression, altered mood swings, negativity. Believe it or not, they treat you for that. I'm sorry, that's a negative statement. Oh, I should be stoned out of my mind. Where's my doctor? Anyway, social awkwardness, tearfulness. Yes, if you are or have ever experienced emotion, take this drug. So researchers have found that many patients are admitted to hospitals for seizures that look like epilepsy but are actually triggered by stress. Seizures from stress, called psychogenic non-epileptic seizures. Yeah, they have a name for it. They're often found in patients such as returning post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, war veterans, mothers in child custody battles, overworked professionals, people breathing in and out and turning on television. Okay, that last one I made that up. Okay, but Brand said that she had been dealing with depression and PTSD. By all the above coming out of Waller County, Bland had been clearly subjected to something severe and extreme, multiple, abnormal stresses, so concealed that her family didn't know anything about them. The family's attorney, Canon Lambert, told the PAC News conference that he didn't know anything about any alleged epilepsy or PTSD or drug medication. Somebody, entity, or entities had subjected this woman to some secret battery of ritual abuse and traumas. Somebody had been playing with her mind. So let's look at, the CIA. Stress and postpartum psychosis. Dr. James Alexander Hamilton of the CIA during the 60s. I captured a picture of one of his more zombie black Manchurian candidates sent among us to most likely try and assassinate H. Rap Brown, Jamal Abdullah al-Amin. His real name is H. Rap Brown. Rap Brown. Anyway, some of this people, female agents on the street, tried to lure, so this is honeycomb, people behind the walls of Little Prison of Horrors, Vacaville's men's medical facility, to tutor CIA MKUltra black zombies. So the Black Cultural Association specifically is a training organization for this, but how to be black nationalist brothers. Mr. Hamilton, CIA station agent at Vacaville. Most people don't know at the time, but Dr. Hamilton was feeding brothers radiation. Most people at that time didn't know anything about the true CIA, anything about MKUltra, or the projects, especially Project Chaos, the FBI's COINTELPRO, already going on in the 60s. Dr. Hamilton's people, who were black honeybees on the street, disposed of and replaced people with one of the so-called revolutionary voice, specifically out of Vacaville. It's a setup. So stress experiments that we have talked about before that produce multi-personality disorders have been and are the hallmark of CIA MKUltra mind control programs and OSS experiments, the early ones before World War II, as all of these things were being set up. One of the OSS and CIA's primary movers of mind control stress experiments had been the notoriously sexual deviant Stanford University psychiatrist Dr. James Alexander Hamilton. And since his days with the OSS during World War II, Dr. Hamilton had been one of the world's leading experts in assessing the physical and mental and emotional capacities of agents for secret and covert operations for the United States and Great Britain. Since then, he may still be in charge. Now, since MKUltra in 1953, Dr. Hamilton had been a leading CIA psychiatrist, directly involved in assessing, developing mental, physical, emotional capabilities of Manchurian candidates through hallucinogens, chemicals, radiation, electricity, brain implants, trauma-based programming for secret and covert CIA mind control operations. Since almost from the beginning of MKUltra, Dr. Hamilton had been probing the state of mind of women during periods of postpartum trauma for open gateways to the mind to control behavior and implant controllable multiple alter personalities, usually through psychiatry, but not always. So it came to light that Dr. Hamilton's MKUltra sub-project, actually numbered 140, at the time renamed MK Search number 3, concerned itself directly with secret mind control experiments regarding stress, trauma, and that period of time. I think it's called puerperium. He defined this word himself. It's defined as the state of a woman while bearing a child, or the period immediately after. So it's the postpartum period. At that point, because the gateway physically had been opened, right? This is why it's important to bond with your child then. If a woman and a child doesn't do it, then it's almost impossible not to do it. But it's a physical and mental, emotional, spiritual state. And you are actually easily taken at that point. I don't know how else to say it. Now, in 1987, it was reported that Dr. Hamilton, again, of the CIA, had been one of the world's leading experts in this postpartum period and had been for over 32 years. Now, thanks to Dr. Hamilton and the CIA, the standard technology to use during that period as to opening to mind control has existed for a long time. And if, without more, it is determined that Sandra actually committed suicide, if we hear this later, don't be surprised. Anyway, it would be absolutely consistent with implanted self-destruction, that Terminator altar that we've seen so many times. So let's take a closer look at Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority. It was founded November 12, 1922, at Butler University, Indianapolis, by black female educators who had already learned, been taught by, the Prussian mind control educational system. It was incorporated within the state of Indiana in December 1922. This is why it was allowed, not because they wanted you to have sororities, if I have any sisters listening, but it was because specifically training women. And at these sororities, it meant rich black women to be able to be used, sponsored, pampered for a little while, then triggered at any moment. It became a national sorority December 30th, 1929. It was granted what they called an alpha charter. Interesting enough, when we've talked about mind control, the alpha. The sorority was founded by 7 educators and housewives that say they had their calling to form the sorority had come from Yale's Skull and Bones. It is what they say, anyway, that their sisterhood came from that. I don't think it did. That's okay. Let's put a shield on it. By their own admission, they are a sisterhood order of the Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones, Brotherhood of Death, who are notoriously not favoring black people. But, they, I'm sure, like a little bit of chocolate in their coffee. Okay, anyway, those on the inside know it as the order. Others have known it for more than 150 years as Chapter 322, German Secret Society. More formally, for legal purposes, the order was incorporated as the Russell Trust, 1856, also known as the Brotherhood of Death, lovingly by some. Those who make light of it or want to make fun of it call it Skull and Bones, or just plain Bones. You can read more about this in Anthony C. Sutton, America's Secret Establishment, 1986. Now, founded 1832, the Order of the Skull and Bones, Brotherhood is Dead, formerly Yale's oldest secret society. Not so secret, we know about it. Headquartered in a windowless tomb on High Street. So according to Skull and Bones lore, in 322 BC, a Greek order died. When he died, the goddess Eulogia goddess of eloquence, arose to the heavens, didn't happen to come back actually until 1832. And when she happened to take up residence in the tomb of Skull and Bones. Now, they do everything in deference to a goddess, this goddess. They have songs or sacred anthems that they sing when they are encouraged to steal things. Some remarkably valuable items. Supposedly, they are said to bring back the gifts to the goddess herself. They begin each session in the tomb, where they meet twice weekly, unveiling a sort of guilt shrine to her. That's the point, this society. That's the point of it. They call themselves the Knights of Ulia. That's where the 322 comes from as well. The hidden power. The Ivy League. So, the Eulogia Club and Lodge 322 initiates are most commonly known as Bonesmen and the Knights of Eulogia. That's where the word. Also, Boule boys. I know, sounds weird. The females who have recently been permitted to become members would be known as Bones women, ladies of Illusia, booty girls, well, boodle girls. So by their own admission, the Sigma Gamma Rho sorority has been ladies of Illusia for a long time. I had never heard of this. Now, most of the Skull and Bones critics believe the goddess Illusia is a deliberate fabrication and a secret diversion of the truth. Illusia is a word of Greek origin, meaning to be blessed. It is a term related to Christian Holy Eucharist, the Holy Communion, and the Lord's Supper. Jesus commanded his followers to do this in memory of me, while referring to bread as my body and wine as my blood. And without knowing it, given the high five to the voodoo rituals that it comes from, where they're actually drinking blood and eating flesh. Anywho, through that celebration, Christians remember Christ's sacrifice for one and all, of course, on the cross. Nevertheless, most people believe the powerful ancient satanic goddess is concealed behind her, that the real patroness unveiled is actually a mother of Babylon, the goddess Ishtar, another name for Lucifer's consort. The sister of Lucifer, Lucifer's twin, is the goddess Sibyl. She is the Lion King. She's also Lilith. It's how it all comes in here. And the cult of Sibyl was sanctified by the Roman Senate, known as the Great Mother, Magna Mater. The Greeks identified her as the goddess Rhea, mother of the Olympians, Demeter, goddess of the hardest, or Dementor, freaking screechy, crazy thing. The cult of Sibyl, the cult of Moloch, child sacrifice, is related to the secret ancient Roman, Venetian, satanic brotherhood death cults. So we're talking again about the Black Nine, the Black Divine Nine, and the Ninth Satanic Circle, which we've gone into. The Eucharist celebration, ritual, if you will, involves ancient secret satanic cannibalistic rites. We must admit what we're doing. Cannibalism means the consumption of a victim's flesh and blood consuming their spirit, their essence, if you will. At one time in the world, cannibalism, human sacrifice, had been the state of mankind. Apparently on the earth, we are told in the stories, before Osiris ended that savage, barbaric practice to further separate man from beast. However, rituals of sacrifice, sacrificing specifically a human being for the purpose of their blood, including rituals associated with self-injury. Yeah, that's where the cutting comes from. But it's in order to cause blood loss. Has been a primary secret domain. It is the worship of the goddess Boule, the lion, queen in this case. It is still Cain, it is still the Phi, the star. So it's been a thing for at least 10,000 years. The worship of blood sacrifices of her has survived for a very long time. Some rituals of Catholic Church tightly entwined with this Roman bloodbath. Any religion where you are drinking wine, eating a piece of bread, or any reference to the blood and the body you put in your mouth, it's bad. And it's also the worship of Attis, known across the ancient world as the Good Shepherd, who is the son of Boule, has always been interwoven with the worship of his mother, the Queen of Heaven. So we have, again, Jesus and Mary. Mary, or Eve, and Cain. Now some would say Lilith, but I'm thinking Lilith and Eve, same personified being. But when she said no to Adam and created onto herself with the serpent, so using Kundalini energy riding up her spine from the sacrum to the vagus, so bottom of your spine, top of your spine, this is what happened. So of course we could look at this, but behind the black shroud here and the black mass, many are paying homage to our most secret and supreme satanic deity, Attis, hidden behind Jesus, Boule, hidden behind Mary, Dogon, Baal, Melech, behind God. All of these ceremonies, all of these festivals associated with Attis. Most important, because it's known as Black Friday, or Dies Sanguinis, the Day of Blood, on or around the 25th of March, 9 months before Solstice Festival of Birth on the 25th of December. Which is why we went into. And today, same group, of which there are members, Christian hierarchy. They are known as the Nine. They are known specifically as the Ninth Circle. It is a cult requiring mandatory entry into the circle of every new pope before their assumption of office. Circle rites, satanic sacrifices, certain privileges are made that involve ceremonial killing of newborns. We are told, can't prove, children, and the consumption of flesh, blood, by members of this cult. Yeah, that's why I waited for you guys. Can't prove this, but we've heard a lot of stories about deep and dark things going on there, and we've talked about them before. I I know you guys aren't squeamish, so we're going on. So behind all the pomp, the circumstance, the fraternity, the ceremonies, the bottom line here is that behind the shroud, Sigma Gamma Rho, these sororities, is a sisterhood of the Brotherhood of Death, the Skull and Bones. And as I have told you before, all royalty always has a voodoo priestess. Ta-da! That's what these girls are. And some, of course, ritual sacrifice, sex slaves, yada, yada, yada. But priestesses, of their own right, most likely respected, too. This is behind the veil that I am pulling up. It is part of the old world, the death cults. It is absolutely no problem in setting up and sacrifice a lesser sister in their hierarchy like Sharon Bland for the ultimate aims of the New World Order. And the devil is always behind the details. So let me introduce Henry McKay Minton, Sigma Gamma Rho. The history of this sorority began with the 14th Boule that convened in New York. This Boule took place December 27th to 30th. Interesting dates, again. 1939. The person was responsible for the Boule, the regionalization of the Sigma Gamma Rho fraternity, and most likely the devil, in the details, behind their call to the Skull and Bones had to be one of the Boule's primary founders, Henry McKay Minton, who died in 1949. It isn't necessary for me to go into Boule. We've done it. There are many excellent references out there about this. The ghetto times, Kushite kingdom, many things out there. And we've gone into it enough. You know what I'm talking about. Now, Henry McKay Milton's father, Theophilus Minton, because people are just going to use that name, had been one of Philadelphia's first black lawyers. He had been independently wealthy, a leader in Philly, in black social class in his own right. Minton's mother, Jean McKay, was the daughter of one of the richest, maybe the most wicked, black men in America at the time, a Colonel John McKay. He was a free-born mulatto, so mixed. People still use that term. It's hilarious. Okay, who became extremely wealthy, a property owner in Philadelphia. He died in 1902. He was one of the wealthiest black men in America at the time. He owned 1 million acres in real estate, over 30 rental units in Philadelphia. Across the United States had an estimated worth of up to $4 million. And this is 1902 when he died, so that's big money. That's big money, right? And his last will and testament was a virtual copy of the last will and testament of Stephen Guillard, a Roman Catholic Frenchman, Knight of St. Louis under King of France, Louis XV. Guillard was a Philadelphia ultra-racist master mason in Union Lodge No. 8, Charleston, South Carolina. He loaned large sums of money to the colonies during the War of 1812. Later established the large Stephen Giard Charity Fund, which is still administered. Giard is was a shipping tycoon, made his fortune in slavery and Chinese opium, along with the Baring Brothers, premier merchant bank, opium traffic, from 1887 till, well, what time is it? Present day. Still in charge, still the same pirates, said British royalty that we talked about. But anyway, they are some primary financial benefactors of the Committee of 300. Still, all the new World Order guys that we've ever even discussed, right? Same things. Now, the college he formed was in Philadelphia, basically. He left large sums of money to charities for orphan white boys. In his will, Colonel McKay also left large sums of money and real estate to orphans that included colored boys. His words, and remember it was written a long time ago, ministered by Roman Catholic Church. And I bet you they were all pretty. Whatever flavor he happened to be using at the time. Now, Colonel McKay had been raised a guild bricklayer mason in his birthplace, Alexandria, VA. When he died, he left his only grandson, Henry Milton, $50. His two daughters, $300. His vast multi-million-dollar estate was taken over and controlled entirely by the Roman Catholic Church, even though that man wasn't Catholic and he was black. H.H. Holmes, yeah, he left nothing. $300, $5 to his kids. Not 50, not $50. So anyway, H.H. Holmes and secret Masonic artifact alleged to be associated with his coven. Now during his lifetime, I've got a picture of that. During his lifetime, one of the properties on 1316 Callowhill Street in Philadelphia had been leased as a coven to Henry Webster Mugget, so aka Dr. Henry Howard Holmes. So this is H.H. Holmes, America's first documented 19th century prolific Masonic serial mass murderer. First guy, H.H. Holmes. I'm sure we've talked about him. He was a leader of a death cult that may have been responsible for killing at least 200 people all across the United States. He was executed, charged, hanged, a Roman Catholic. He wasn't actually known to be a Roman Catholic, but he was certainly one of their ultra-secret Masonic societies, though. Satanic Black Mass death cult that he passed down to his equally satanic grandson, Henry McKay Milton, and the Illuminati Phillips Academy. Now Henry McKay Milton was educated, primed, groomed to serve the Illuminati at Phillips Academy, located 619 acres, it's big, in New Hampshire. It's supposed to be gorgeous too. And among the oldest, most prestigious schools in America. One of the main feeder schools for Harvard and Yale, aka Skull and Bones, Culture of Death, yada yada yada, formed by a banker, Dr. John Phillips, and Margaret Wheelton, also satanic Americans, royal descent, and the royal descent of the Saxon warrior, King Edward. Now, just how exclusive, elusive, elitist is this? Its Illuminati base includes 19 state governors, 5 U.S. senators, 5 Olympic athletes, 2 Nobel Prize winners, a U.S. president, even tech moguls like Facebook founder Mark Zuckerman of the Bilderberg Group, founder of Korea, Adam D'Angelo, Dan Brown, author of the Da Vinci Code. So by the way, yes, Dan Brown, elitist. Look at him as the modern day Sitchin, feeding us a whole bunch of line of bullshit. So, Da Vinci Code, Masonic-inspired lost symbol, groomed at the Academy. Skull and Bones, pedophile, former U.S. President George Walker Bush attended Phillips Academy as well. Many New World Order millionaires, powerful political elites, handful of billionaires, products of this community, and have helped grow the school's endorsement and endowment to $1.2 billion. Later you go on to Skull and Bones. Now, early 1950, source, that Henry McKay Milton was a former secret society Oddfellows. By 1906, Grand Order of Oddfellows of Manchester, England, established a headquarter base in Philadelphia. However, it's not clear if Minton belonged to the Grand United Oddfellows or something older and much more secret order, scarier order. The Order of Oddfellows is British Empire. It was founded in the 18th century by a blood covenant oath of Masons. Then we have Albert Pike, also an odd fellow. Knights of the Golden Circle, KKK. The Oddfellows predate the British Empire. They predate Freemasonry by generations. As a matter of fact, they're the oldest, earliest, I think, secret fraternity or fraternal society. Their early history is really obscure, largely undocumented. There are those legends, of course, tracing back Moses, Aaron, Israelites, Babylon, 6th century BC, claims that the order was brought to Europe by Jewish prisoners after the destruction of the temple at Jerusalem by the Roman Emperor Titus. This is again going back to 70 CE. Still all fits in. But another Oddfellows legendary anyway link them to soldiers of the Roman Empire themselves. Around the 11th century, another myth states that although no formal records exist, the Order of the Oddfellows was established in 1452 by knights who were said to have met in a pub named Boule-sur-Mer. So it's about the water goddess again, the abyss. So, are they satanic? Bad. And they keep having pictures of Baphomet and a ram wearing Oddfellows aprons, surrounded by children. Again, it goes back to what's in Detroit, the place where at least 100,000 black people have no water. It's why there's children, one on each side beside the Baphomet. I didn't look close enough to see if he has an Oddfellows apron. I'll check again. But one thing's clear anyway. They have identified themselves anyway as the oldest fraternity. Oldest, ultra-secret, satanic Brotherhood of Death. They predate the German orders, even the ones that chartered Skull and Bones. And the Boule are secretly a part of this satanic oasis. So I think the public is taking a serious look at Sandy Bland killing. Recently I heard a mainstream corporate media, and not across the internet, the general public is talking and taking a serious look at whether or not Sandy Bland was deceased in her mugshot. It was a valid concern, I thought, but apparently she was. Why did the police single her out? Why was she targeted in the first place? Why did she take her booking mugshot in the orange jumpsuit instead of her street clothes? Also, I believe that Lafayette, LA movie theater shooting is another convenient diversion to take you away from the Sandy Bland matter. CIA has a stockpile of sleeper Manchurian candidates. Don't let Sandy Bland killing die off. It's a rabbit hole that's bound to go deeper and deeper. So deep, I think, that most of us may develop Dr. Gregory Bateman's double blind, insanity without disease, if you don't continue to resist and lift up each and every veil that we come to. I'm not saying I'm always right. I'm not saying this is the answer. She may have nothing to do with this. But how she looked a month ago and how she looks now absolutely has nothing to do with how she looks now. And she was absolutely connected. Absolutely connected